Hey guys, today I'd like to take a look at some great war movies. There's a lot to discuss, so in honor of Memorial Day, I'm going to rank the top 10 American war films. Couple rules. First, no comedies. And second, the films have to show a significant amount of American involvement. So no Dunkirk, no Lawrence of Arabia, no Bridge on the River Kwai. With all of that said, here's the top 10 American war films. And be sure to comment below with your thoughts. At number 10 is Fury from 2014. The story focuses on a tank crew during World War II, and how a replacement gunner deals with the harsh new environment. There are some issues here. The dialogue early on is a bit stilted, the music is misplaced and overbearing, and despite taking place in the 40s, it feels too modern day. Yet what makes Fury stand out is how ugly it is, and I mean that in a good way. Every inch of this film is gray and muddy, and you almost feel filthy watching it. The action is nerve-wracking. When our characters win fights, it doesn't feel triumphant, it's traumatizing. This crew doesn't slowly lose their humanity, they're barely holding together when our protagonist meets them. Some of the imagery, like a man being flattened by tank treads, is visceral and gut-wrenching. You can tell everyone on set is putting every piece of their soul into this. The film has been criticized for inaccuracies, and I'm not an expert on this, so I won't debate that. But its main purpose is to both entertain and horrify, and for that, it succeeds. Next is Jarhead. This movie centers on the boredom and listlessness of soldiers during Operation Desert Storm. So before you ask, no, it's not a fast-paced movie. And yes, that trailer is a liar, but it is in no means dull. The training for snipers is shown in great detail, and it's both interesting and often funny. Several scenes burst with energy entirely because of the award-worthy performances from Jake Gyllenhaal and Peter Sarsgaard. There's a bit toward the end where a character can't complete a mission, and the acting rips your heart out. And there's a scene with a veteran that will probably and deservedly make people cry. Roger Deakins once again proves he's one of the best DPs around, as the cinematography here is beautiful and purposeful. While Fury zeroes in on how conflict corrupts the mind, Jarhead portrays how the lack of fighting and objective can do the same. Next up is Full Metal Jacket. That's right, Kubrickians, it's going to number 8. Look, there are generally two schools of thought regarding this movie. Either it's great throughout, or the first half is the only good part. And I'm kinda closer to the latter. Which is to say, some of the second half is worthwhile. The sniper sequence is tense and does a great job bringing egotistical characters back down to earth. But overall, yeah, the second half isn't nearly as good as the first, but that's in large part due to the first half being downright phenomenal. The improvised insult barrage, the mental digression of a tragic character, a fistful of iconic quotes, the echo-laden music that's effectively creepy. The film as a whole is a solid good movie, but for the first half alone, it's a must-see. Number 7 is the 1964 war thriller Failsafe. If you haven't heard of this one, it's because it's based on a book that allegedly and probably ripped off the book Dr. Strangelove was based on. So when both films are coming out, Kubrick delivered a legal karate chop and the film was lost in time. Which on the one hand, yeah, legally it makes sense, but on the other, it's kind of a shame because this is a great movie and no one has seen it. It explores the terrible what-if scenario of a plane carrying hydrogen bombs being incorrectly sent to attack Russia. And throughout the film, we watch characters debate, negotiate, and maneuver every way they can avoid total annihilation. Walter Matthau commands every second of screen time, and Henry Fonda is fully believable as a US president. For an older film, Failsafe is very bold in some of its creative choices. Harsh lighting and shadows, perspective shots, severe close-ups, and dramatic editing all provide the right mood, one of panic and dread. There's a seduction scene early on I found twisted, even by today's standards, and every phone call scene with the translator is just genius. This is an awesome movie, please check it out. The Deer Hunter is a classic. We all know it for the Russian roulette scene, which I could spend 10 minutes heaping praise upon. They're really getting slapped here, by the way. But this sequence is not isolated, it's a reflection of the quality of the film as a whole. How the dialogue and especially acting is dramatic, yet done so realistically that every scene becomes that much more heart-wrenching. Even some of the smaller moments are just as sad because they reflect what happened, and still happens, to these troops. The Deer Hunter is one of the first Hollywood films to portray PTSD, and I admire how the symptoms aren't the same for each character. My main issue is the Orthodox wedding early on, which does introduce these people well, but still needed to be trimmed down. But apart from that, this is a well-crafted war movie, and perfect for when you're in the mood for something heavy. Number 5 is The Hurt Locker. This is an interesting one, as the plot very much takes a back seat. This is more of a character study than anything, one shown through actions as well as dialogue. And that character is Sergeant First Class William James, played by Jeremy Renner in his best role as far as I'm concerned. Renner completely sinks into this role and makes it look effortless, and the character himself is captivating. A daredevil with an extremely dangerous job that he can't live without. This is one of the few movies where the shaky cam feels appropriate. It's not overdone, and it is immersive. The Hurt Locker is bookended by 2 bomb defusal attempts, and both will have you sweating. The highlight here is, without a doubt, the sniper segment. Every movement, every bullet, every possible procedure is paramount, and it's enthralling to watch. The film comes across not like a tight series of events, but as one fluid experience, and a damn good one at that. At number 4 is Platoon. Platoon shines in the pacing and performances. Despite there not being that much action, I was locked in from start to finish, and no scene ever went on too long. Willem Dafoe is charming and comforting, Tom Berenger is fierce and intimidating, and when they clash, it's like the movie is giving you a present. Charlie Sheen's weary narration fits the character's physical and spiritual exhaustion. The ending is a total free-for-all, culminating with a character so torn up and beat down that the image of him, to me, should be some kind of poster child for Vietnam War movies. Platoon also gets some street cred for being partially based on Oliver Stone's time in the war, and some scenes, like rescuing a local girl, actually happened to him. The movie is fast, evocative, and full of great moments. So watch it if you haven't, and re-watch it if you have. Number 3 is A Bridge Too Far. This is a big movie. Set pieces involving planes, paratroopers, tanks, and enough rubble to rival Godzilla. The dedication to its real-life source, Operation Market Garden, involving American, British, and Polish operations. The cast, that includes Anthony Hopkins, Gene Hackman, Sean Connery, James Caan, Michael Caine, and Robert Redford. It's a massive undertaking. But what I want to clarify is that while there are specific epic sections, like the heroic river crossing, much of the fighting here consists of holding outposts and skirmishes. One of the main characters spends most of the runtime defending one side of a bridge. It's a type of warfare we don't see too much in films, and it showcases how long, how arduous this war was. It's a long movie, but a very entertaining one, and it teaches a good lesson. A plan's complexity not only doesn't make it necessarily smarter, but can be its own undoing. Runner-up is Saving Private Ryan. Let's not beat around the bush here. The opening at Omaha Beach is one of the best action scenes in American cinema, and in war movies, it is unrivaled. Even from the way it starts, introducing characters on a boat and how each is currently dealing with the anticipation of battle. We're getting to know them. Then the door drops and half are dead in 5 seconds. Christ, what a way to set the mood. The last battle is also fantastic, and I love how long these scenes are, with a slew of different characters, weapons, and types of combat. It's an absolutely brutal film. Seriously, I can't even watch the stabbing scene. And part of that is how involved we are with the main cast. Except for Corporal Upham, who gets second place for most annoying war film character, we like these men, we root for them, and witness their struggle with leadership, struggle with being brave. And when the cast is this good, and the presentation mind-blowing, we can so strongly empathize with these men, and at the same time question whether we could do what they did. It's an awesome film, but due to corporal cringe and some lags here and there, it isn't the best. But first, some honorable mentions. And number 1 is Apocalypse Now. This film isn't just the best American war film in my opinion, but one of my favorite films ever made. The movie's production was notoriously chaotic, and much of that carries over to the finished product. But this is one of the rare times where that chaos works. Martin Sheen drunkenly cutting his hand and sobbing? Yep, that's all real, and it suits the character. Marlon Brando refusing to learn his lines and showing up massively overweight? That's cool, we'll shoot him in shadow and let him improvise. Brilliant dialogue and shot composition. There is so much talent and technique on screen, from the famous chopper raid to the search for a CO, yet madness is always present. It is a nightmare, a psychedelic collapse into savagery. The late 70s synth music is bizarre and foreboding. Certain shots burrow into your mind. You aren't just following this story, you are in it, witnessing the indulgence, the pointlessness, the depravity, and pure insanity. Apocalypse Now, on a technical level, is a masterpiece. And as a war film, it transcends every rule, and yet, more than delivers on the themes, action, and characters that we need. That is why it is the greatest American war film. So far. So what are some of your favorite American war films? Comment below. And if you're able, pick any one of these films and watch it with your dad. Stay tuned for more videos, share and subscribe to support my channel, and as always, thanks for watching.